Hello everyone. Today's lecture is all about logical fallacies. So logical fallacies are flaws in reasoning used to try to bolster weak arguments. Strong arguments will always avoid logical fallacies. In fact, if your argument contains a logical fallacy, a flaw in logic, then your argument has already fallen apart. Politicians, advertisers, debate opponents, even your friends will often use logical fallacies to try to sway you, but don't be fooled. So there are many logical fallacies, and today I want to focus on just a few of the most common ones that you'll see in your daily life. The first logical fallacy that I want to focus on is a hasty generalization. So a hasty generalization is an inference drawn from insufficient evidence. Here's an example. My new Toyota broke down, so all Toyotas must be poorly made. This is a logical fallacy because just because something happened to your car doesn't mean that it applies to all cars. The next logical fallacy I want to talk about is faulty causality. This is the incorrect assumption that because one event or action follows another, the first caused the second. So correlation does not imply causation. Let's take a look at an example. So I dyed my hair red last week. This week, 3 other girls showed up to school with freshly dyed red hair. They must have made the change because they like my hair. So this is a logical fallacy because those 3 girls who dyed their hair red this week could have dyed their hair red for any number of reasons. Maybe they saw a TV show where a character had red hair and they were inspired. Maybe they had been planning on doing it for months. It does take a while usually to set up a hair coloring appointment. So this person has clearly committed a logical fallacy. The next logical fallacy I want to talk about is the either-or mindset. So this is an unfair oversimplification of an issue by providing only 2 options as a possible solution. This is from Ricky Bobby in Talladega Lights. He claims that if you aren't first, you're last. It's a funny saying, but at the same time, if I were to graduate in a class of 100, I would absolutely rather graduate second in my class than last in my class. So I think that Ricky Bobby is committing a bit of a fallacy here. The next logical fallacy I want to talk about is the slippery slope fallacy. This is an exaggeration of the likely consequences of an action designed to show that a misstep today could result in disaster in the future. So here's an example. We can't allow students to bring beverages into the auditorium. If we do, soon they'll start bringing in snacks and then full meals. In no time at all, the place will be filled with trash, rats, and cockroaches. Good grief. We'd probably have to condemn the building. So we've gone from students being allowed to drink something while they're in the auditorium to the building being shut down just because this person is sliding down a very slippery slope. The next logical fallacy that I want to talk about is bandwagoning. So arguments urging you to follow the same path that everyone else is taking is called bandwagon. It's a very, very common strategy used to sell things to teens. And it's also the same thing that's been sold to voters for years. If this is how your party is voting, this is how you should vote. This is how people feel about this issue. This is how you should feel about this issue. Another logical fallacy is sentimental appeal. This is when we play on the reader's emotions to distract them from the actual facts. If you've seen those depressing ASPCA ads where Sarah McLachlan's singing and that Arms of the Angel song is playing and the puppies are crying and the kittens are sad, that's actually a logical fallacy. Those ads are effectively designed to make you feel like a heartless jerk if you don't donate. But the full picture is never given in those ads. In fact, in 2012, the ASPCA CEO, Ed Sayers, was actually paid a salary of $566,000. So a guy running a supposed nonprofit to help animals sure was profiting off of those animals suffering. This changes things a little bit, I hope. Another logical fallacy is the fallacy of scare tactics. This is when somebody uses fear to sway people by exaggerating possible dangers well beyond their statistical likelihood. So politicians from both parties will often claim that their opponents will ruin the quality of life of middle-class voters. We're seeing this in the current election on both sides. Politicians are saying that if you vote for the other candidate, you will destroy America. It's really hyperbolic language. So far, our country has withstood politicians from both parties, and it will probably continue to do so. But the language from both sides of the field, from Trump and from Biden right now, is very hyperbolic. They're both saying that the other party will literally destroy the country as we know it. Another logical fallacy is the appeal to false authority. This is when you are presenting an unqualified person or institution as a source of credible information. This is when Dr. Oz is now the leading source of information on the coronavirus. So here's an example. My 6th grade teacher said that girls will fall in love with a guy who knows how to dance. Therefore, if I want to win some hearts, I need to learn how to dance. Also, celebrity endorsements fall into this category when the product is unrelated to the celebrity's field of expertise. When Shaq is selling you gold bonds, this is the same sort of fallacy. When Taylor Swift is selling you Pepsi. Another logical fallacy is the ad hominem. In Latin, this means to the mad, but ad hominem attacks really occur when an opponent attacks a person's character rather than the quality of his or her ideas. So this is very common in politics. So a specific type of ad hominem called tu quoque occurs when you accuse your opponent of being a hypocrite instead of actually addressing his or her point. So here's an example. Political campaigns frequently use ad hominem attacks on rival candidates instead of focusing on the real issues at hand. She's a nasty woman would be the example going on right now with Kamala Harris. Another logical fallacy is the straw man. This is misrepresenting or twisting someone's argument so it's easier to attack and knock it down. Here's a classic ad from Chipotle, a burrito restaurant. They stated, "You can't live on ramen noodles alone," which is a straw man argument because yes, many college students will eat cheap ramen noodles, but no one argues that ramen is the only food that those college students should be eating, and no one actually thinks that it is the only food that those college students are eating. So those are just some examples of the logical fallacies that you see committed every single day, whether it's on the news, in politics, or by your friends. Please refer back to this lecture as you fill out the matching sheet in your Google Docs assignment. Have a lovely day.